All right, Sydney, I am now taking a look at your report, and I do these by video because it's easier for me, and hopefully you'll like it. You'll appreciate it because it's kind of like watching over my shoulder as I evaluate your paper. So let's get right into it. Your page numbering up here is great. Your heading looks great. Now you got this excess spacing here, so you'll want to close that up, making sure it's all double spaced all the way through. Okay, so close up that excess spacing there. All right. Research report. Big Pharma's motive. Okay. People get sick. It's a fact of life. Oftentimes, going to the doctor is the best course of action. Okay. All right. Yeah. Good. Pretty good. Introduction short and sweet. Thesis statement. I think it will be okay. I think it'll work. Looks good. All right. Literature review. Top. All right. Great job with introducing your source here by her using her full name, credentials, and even talking about the fact that she's a professor of pediatrics and where she works. Awesome job of fully introducing her and qualifying her. Exactly right. Great job. You're one of the few that are really doing that well. So take pride in that. Out of 3 classes too. So yeah, not a lot of people are doing this just right. Not as good as yours. Um, these companies and yeah, and you have exactly what you're supposed to have here, which is just the page numbering because you used her name up here already. Very nice job. And then you did this just right. I think you really, it appealed, either you really knew this already and you're really good at writing, or you learned well from the activity that you all did together where you had the initial mentions and the subsequent mentions of how to use how to introduce your authors the first time and then refer to them after that. It looks like you're doing that just right. Just right. Awesome job. Good. Nice job. All right. Good job with that. Now here you've already noted that it's from the Office of General Inspector General up here. So once again, you don't have to have that in both places. Just like with an author's name, you don't ever have to have the author's name or the title of the article, whatever you're using here. You don't have to have it there and in the parenthetical, just one place or the other. So since you used it here, you could just delete that here and just put the page or paragraph number that it was in. That's all you need in there. Okay. Okay, here we go. Another great introduction of those authors. Now again, you don't have to have their names here because you already introduced them here, right? So you can take that out and just put just leave the number 101 in there. All right, good job. Very nice job with your lit review. Let's see what you do with your methods. Good job talking about where you got this, how you evaluated them, where you got them, how you evaluated them, how you determined them to be trustworthy. Great job. Primary research was an interview with Michelle Lilly, a nurse practitioner. Very nicely done. You did a great job introducing her, talking about what you all discovered together, and then providing your weakness, also something I was requiring and looking for. So great job with that. And thank you for putting it in bold. Some students are neglecting to do that as well. Results and discussion are together, so let's see how you do with this. You could actually talk about her degrees and stuff up here where you first introduce her in the methods section rather than in here. But I guess it's not that big a deal. But just, you could have done it that way. This is just supposed to be the results. In other words, what you discovered, right? Okay, good job. Good job talking about that and giving your thoughts on where she was coming from, how that could be construed. Now this part here is good. You got your chart here. You could probably just leave the title here and delete the figure 1 unless it's part of the chart. Then you don't have to worry about that. But figure 1 really just needs to be down here, and then the sales revenue here, and then data source and the actual. Now this should be the full citation, so you should put everything here, including the URL. Whatever was in that citation should all be there. Okay. Let's see. Okay, you discuss it here. You talk about the gap again, kind of remind your audience about that. Now, a great way to end is to actually talk about, maybe offer a suggestion as to how that gap could be filled. If you could do that, that would be even better, because then that shows your ingenuity and your good creative thinking ability. So I would consider doing that if you can. Good. Conclusion short and sweet and looks very solid. Good. Human beings are more important than profits. Very nicely done. All right, your works cited page looks great. Looks like everything's in alphabetical order. Now you do have some excess spacing here, like between parts, and it's very easy to fix that, but I can't literally show you because it's in a PDF. But what you do is you just, in order to fix this, you would put your cursor, like for example, you put your cursor right here, for example, somewhere in this line here, and then you go up here in Word. If you're in Word, you're going to look up here, and you're going to find a button that has, it's probably right around here, and you're going to find a button that has arrows pointing up and down away from each other, up and down. You're going to click on that, and there's a few things here, but at the bottom of it, it's where your line spacing is. So it'll have 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5. But down here at the bottom of it, it'll have two places where it says add, or it might say remove. If you put your cursor here and you click on that and one of those say remove, in this case it'd probably say remove from below, then you click on that and it would probably close that space up. If that didn't work, then you just put your cursor here, click on that same button, and say if it says something like remove before, right? And then you click that, and doing that should help you be able to close up these extra spacings here, because you can clearly see this is a lot more space than this right here, for example. Okay. Personal interview is done just right, except you want to add that period here at the end. All of your entries, even that one, should have a period at the end. Of course, that's a minor thing, but you want to fix those. Try to get rid of this excess spacing here. And good job. All right. It does not look that bad at all. You did a great job with it. However, I don't understand demonstration, discussion, literature review. So literature review is discussing what is known about the topic based on the sources. So in other words, it's all the stuff that has already been discussed and decided. So when you talk about literature, that literally means you're reviewing the known literature or sources about the topic. That's what that's about. Your discussion is where you talk about what you discovered through all of your own research here by comparing the sources, what they have to say, to what you found in your interview and all that stuff, and what you feel like that all shows. That's the discussion, which is this section here, right? You know, this section here, you might have ended this section with maybe a more solid statement that sort of wraps up the discussion and tells your audience kind of what your overall feeling is about the confluence of these source material and your interview and everything. What does it all show? What does it all tell you? And then in your conclusion, you can tell your audience why it's important and why they should care, right? So yeah, that's how that works. Yeah, but you did a great job. Argumentative essay is this was where you were supposed to kind of find out what you needed to know in order to create an argument essay. You could look at it that way. All right. Now, you can actually delete this second half because when I told you all to do that, I was thinking of my old Google Classroom way of doing things. So you can actually just delete this second copy, the whole copy here. And just what you'll do is you'll do all of your repairs, all of your revisions and edits you will do on this first copy. Fix every single thing all the way through from beginning to end. You can't just make you can't just make your revisions and edits on the first couple pages and then all of a sudden I don't see any more fixes, any more revisions. That tells to me that just looks like you didn't complete and fix everything. So make sure you highlight and fix everything all through the paper. And whenever you fix something, what you got to do is you got to highlight it. So let's say you decided to add a sentence right here. Let's say you decided to add another sentence or delete a sentence. What you could do, let's say you deleted a sentence. Not that you did or need to, but let's say you, for whatever reason, you decide to delete a sentence here between these two sentences. And what you could do then is you could take that space, you could just highlight like I've done here, a little bit of both sides of the space so it's easy for me to see it. And then you'll right click and you should be able to, in Word, again, you'll be in Word. So you can do that and then it'll let you highlight that. So you'll highlight it just the basic color, green or yellow, whatever it is. And then you need to click on a button. If it puts a pop-up here that tells you that lets you do that, then over here to the right of that pop-up, it should say something about new comment. So you'll click on new comment so that and it'll pop a box up here that you can make a comment on. And in that comment box, you'll just basically state what you did. So for example, if you deleted a sentence here, you would do that. And then in the box, you would simply say deleted sentence here. Simple as that. But you got to do that for everything that you fix so that I can easily tell what all you fixed and that you have fixed stuff. Now, my other big suggestion, of course, and really important suggestion would be, not that that's not important, but another important suggestion would be to resubmit it to me. After you fixed all these things and highlighted everything, resubmit it again to the assignment. It should let you, if for some reason it won't let you, just email it to me. But resubmit it to the assignment if it'll let you. And that way I can give you more feedback on it and we can make sure it's really awesome before the final portfolio. Okay, so that'll do it for this video. As always, if you have questions, need help, let me know.